Hello everybody. In this video we are going to understand both how an action potential is formed as well as the graph of the action potential. And we are going to understand this with an analogy. Now why do we need an analogy over here? It's often seen that many of us get confused with various terms, with various ions entering and exiting, and hence the action potential is never a clear concept. Whereas this is such a basic concept that it must be clear. Hence, let's clear it once and for all with an analogy. Now over here, let's first listen to the story and then understand how an action potential fits into the story. So this is a story of us ordering commodities online. So at this stage, where we see the graph is flat, here we do not perform any action. Hence, this is the resting stage. At this point, we decide to order a few commodities online. Hence, we order a few commodities and our excitement starts increasing. Why is that so? Because we are excited that we've ordered a few goodies for ourselves and now we're excited for these goodies to come into our hands. At this point, we notice there's a sudden peak or sudden rise in the action potential. So this is the point where our goodies are going out for delivery. So every minute or every passing moment in this part of the graph is where our goodies are coming close to our hands or coming close to our doorsteps. Hence, our excitement keeps peaking with every passing moment in this part of the graph. Now at the highest or the peak of the graph, at this point, we have our goodies or commodities at our doorsteps. Hence, we are at the peak of our excitement. But why is the excitement declining all of a sudden? That's because at this point, now we have to pay money to the delivery boy. Hence, our excitement starts decreasing because we have to pay for the goodies that we've bought. So our excitement constantly keeps decreasing. Now if you notice, this is the point of resting. So this is the resting potential. But we have to pay them even more. So this, when we have to pay the delivery boy even more than our resting potential, we are not resting. So that means this is the point at which we are at debt. That means we've bought so many commodities that now we have to pay them extra and we are in debt. So this is the point of debt. But suddenly this increases. Why is that so? That's because now our salary is credited into our bank account and therefore we get back into resting potential and we are ready to buy new commodities and repeat this whole curve again. So this was the whole story of the action potential. Now let's associate different parts or different characters of the story to various parts of the action potential in order to understand it clearly. So the commodities that we purchase is the sodium ion. The money that we use to pay with is the potassium ion. The threshold potential, which is this point in the graph, is the point at which commodities are out for delivery. Hyperpolarization, which is the point below the resting potential, which is negative 70 millivolt, is hyperpolarization, the debt. The graph is our emotion. So the graph is our constant emotion, which actually is the graph of potential versus time. Potential plotted on the y-axis and time plotted on the x-axis. Now let's understand the action potential with the help of the story and the graph. This is the resting stage where we don't do anything. Suddenly we order our commodities. So sodium starts entering, which is sodium, our commodity. At this point, this is the threshold potential, which is out for delivery. Now what do we mean by threshold potential or out for delivery? So this is the point at which the all or none phenomenon applies. What is the all or none phenomenon? The all or none phenomenon states that either all of the action potential will be conducted or none of the action potential will be conducted. An action potential can never be partially conducted. Now, when your commodities reach the threshold or when they are out of delivery, can you cancel your delivery? Definitely you cannot cancel your delivery when it's out for delivery, but you can cancel your delivery before it's out for delivery. So whenever your commodities have reached the threshold or the out for delivery mark, they will conduct the action potential. Whereas whenever your commodities have not yet reached the out for delivery or the threshold potential mark, they will not conduct an action potential, because you can always cancel them. Hence, reaching to the out for delivery or threshold potential mark is an essential step to know whether an action potential will be conducted or not. If it has reached the threshold potential, an action potential will 100% be conducted. But if it's not, it will not be conducted. This is the all or none phenomenon which occurs at the out for delivery mark or the threshold potential mark. After this point, after the threshold potential point, the action potential will be conducted. So sodium constantly goes in, and this is depolarization, wherein the sodium is constantly entering. Now, once it has reached the peak positive value, this is the maximum that it can reach to positivity, because your doorstep is the maximum that your commodity can reach towards you to give you that excitement. Once it has reached your doorstep, next is you have to start paying. When you start paying, the money over here is your potassium. So you pay with potassium. So potassium exits your house. Therefore, this is a repolarization. This was losing polarization, which is depolarization. Now you're gaining that polarization back. So this is a repolarization. So therefore, potassium is lost. So potassium will exit from your house. That is potassium exit, and you're losing potassium. Now this is the resting stage, but here when it goes down, you're in debt. So you have to give extra money. Now why do we have to give extra money? So what happens is, mostly these potassium channels, sodium channels, they all have gates. And these gates have inertia. What is inertia? Inertia is the resistance to change. So when a body is constantly moving, and if you want to stop it, the body will have its resistance to change its line of motion from motion to stop or halt. Therefore, that resistance is inertia. Similarly, a body which is constantly stationary, when you want to move that object, again the object will have its own inertia, which is resistance to change in its normal state, which is it does not want to go into the motion state. Hence, that resistance is called as inertia. Now, in this stage, your potassium channel are open, which means your gates are open. So, when your gates are open, they will have a resistance or an inertia to close. And since they have an inertia to close, there's a slight delay in the closure of the potassium gates to close the channel and to resist the release of potassium out of the cell. Hence, over here, we can see that the potassium channel gates are open for a while longer than normal, and therefore some amount of potassium leaves the cell. Therefore, this is the state of hyperpolarization. But an equivalent amount of potassium enters back into the cell, and therefore it gains its normal resting state back again. Therefore, this was the entire graph about resting state, depolarization, repolarization, and hyperpolarization. This was the entire action potential. I hope this video was helpful in understanding this concept. That's all we have for today. Thank you.